Hello guys, this is CTK Gamer, and today I'm going to show you guys how to play Sid Meier's Civilization the board game in 10 minutes. Okay, so the board is going to look something like this, but with more stuff on it. So down here we've got the board itself with the individual tiles. Now they start out with Fog of War side up, and as you expand through them, you flip them over to see what side they have and what the map looks like. Now up here's the markup board. This is where almost everything you'll buy will be. Some things will be in containers or just loose or on the outside. And then you'll have off to your side a pile of all your pieces and a few reference sheets. This is the board set up with all of the expansions, both of them I should say. Now there are 4 ways to win the game. One is to defeat the other player's capital city. That's a military victory. One is to get 15 golds. That is an economy victory. One is to progress all the way up this culture track. That is a cultural victory. And the other is, takes me a second to remember, is to get the 1 level 5 tech, which means you have to first build up your tech tree. So there are 5 phases in the game: start of turn, trade, city management, movement, and research. For start of turn, you may switch to an unlocked government that you have. And when I say unlocked, almost every single thing in the game gets unlocked by different techs. Okay? So you may switch to an unlocked government that you have. If you did not just unlock it in the last research phase, then you have to switch through the anarchy government first. Next thing you can do in start of turn is build a city. You have to have a scout in a legal space. One thing I need to tell you that this is just phrases that you'll need to know. So this is the city's core. The 8 spaces surrounding it are its outskirts. So in order to build a city, you have to have a scout with a legal place to build, in a legal place to build. So let's say the scout's right here. The rules are the outskirts have to be clear of any enemy units, like these, any huts or village tokens, like these or these. It cannot overlap with another city's outskirts, so it can't be that close to a city. Its outskirts have to have all of its outskirts have to exist. They can't be on the edge of the board. And all of its outskirts have to be visible, so it can't be next to an unexplored terrain tile. Once you have a scout in a legal place, if your city level, if the amount of cities you can have has not been reached yet, then you can go ahead, get rid of the scout, put it back with your piles, get a city, put it on the unwalled side, and put it wherever your scout was. That is how you build a city. And that is everything you can do in the start of turn step. The next phase is trade. Now what you do, you count up, these are trade symbols right here. You count up all of those that are in your city's outskirts. So we have 1, 2, 3, and from every city. Right now we only have 1 city. So then advance your trade dial that many spaces. Next you can trade the following things with another player. You can trade culture event cards that you might have. You can trade points of trade. You can trade resource tokens. And you can trade non-binding promises. Once you're done with trade, you go on to city management. This is the main step where you do almost everything. There's 3 things you could do, but you can only do 1 of these. You can build either a unit, a figure, a building, or a wonder. You can vote your city to the arts, or you can harvest a resource. So the first thing you could do if you want to just build a unit is to build one of these figures. Now when you want to build something, that costs production. Trade you can save from turn to turn, production you cannot. Production is listed by the number of hammer symbols in your city's outskirts. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 production in this city. So that means this turn we can buy something for 5 production. If I have another city, this production cannot work towards that city. It can only work towards that city. Whatever I build with production from this city's action has to go towards this city. Each city can do 1 action, one of the possible actions. So build a unit we have 5 trade. Right now, this indicates what our military level is for that unit, and that unit, and that unit. So right now, the color blue, we're level 1. Level 1 units cost 5 production for infantry and for everything else too. So we could buy one of those. If we did it, we'd take it and we'd add it to our military standing forces, which is basically all your military cards. That's what this is. This is an infantry military card. Next you can do is build a figure. There are 2 types of figures, scouts and armies. Whatever you buy, they have to go in the outskirts of your city. It says it on the reference sheet, but I'll remind you here that a scout costs 6 to buy and an army costs 4. Once you bought it, you put it in your city's outskirts. Next you can do is build a building. First of all, you have to have the building you want to buy has to be unlocked with a tech. It will say right here on the side of the tech if it unlocks a building. This one unlocks workshop, so we can build workshop. As you see here, this is the market board buildings. There are 2 levels. There's level 1 and level 2. As soon as you unlock the level 2, you can no longer buy the level 1 version of the building. You have to buy level 2. And also, as soon as you unlock level 2, any level 1s you've already purchased instantly become level 2. So if we had enough, which we don't, but if we had enough, we could put it in legal space. Now, each building has restrictions, and it's listed on the right side what terrain it can go on, such as grasslands only, mountains only, water only, any terrain except for water. That's how that works. Units and figures, by the way, just telling you now, they can never move into water unless the card tech says so. Okay, that's a building. If you build that, then it can go in your outskirts. Notice there are some buildings with stars in the corners. If you can only have 1 star building in each city, same with wonders. And that actually is, next thing is wonders. If you have enough to afford a wonder, see 15, 10, 15, 50, you can buy it and put it in your city's outskirts. You take the card, put it with your cards, you take the building, put it in the outskirts, you can put it on any terrain except for water. Okay? So you can build that, and if you have certain techs, we'll make these cards cheaper too. Next thing you can do is devote your city to the arts. That's when you'll get 1 culture from the city itself, then 1 for every culture symbol in its outskirts. There's a culture symbol. So we'd get 1 and 2. So then you go ahead, you get 2 culture tokens, and later you could spend them. You spend them to move up the culture track. All the level 1 sections cost 3 culture to move up. All the level 2 cost 5 culture and 3 trade. And the level 3 costs 7 culture and 6 trade. Once you move up a space, you get whatever that space is. So this is a level 1 event card, so we take one of these. To start out with, you can only have 2 event cards in your hand. And anytime you draw more, you have to discard down back to your hand size. You can increase that hand size by upgrading to techs that unlock it. Once you get to here, you get a great person. A great person is like a building. The last thing you can do is harvest a resource. These are the different types of resources. There are many more. If one of these symbols is in your outskirts, you can spend an action to get that resource. So if you wanted to, you could spend that action, get a wheat from the supply, and put it with your stuff. The next phase is the movement phase. Every unit has the chance to move as many spaces as you are allowed to. It starts out as 2 for almost everybody. You increase that by updating text that increase your movement speed. One movement you could do is flip over a tile. That takes 1 movement. Once you flip it over, you find the white arrow and point it the way that your guy is going. Then you get anything that would go on it, like culture village tokens. There isn't any on this one. There is relics, but I'm not explaining that because that's an expansion rule. So let's just pretend we already had this stuff flipped over. Like so. Here is a hut token, and there is a village token. Only armies can move into village tokens. Once you do that, you have to attack. And I'm not going to explain attacking because attacking is pretty long to explain. You'll have to have whoever you're playing with explain it to you. But if you successfully, whenever an army unit moves into a village token or a hut, they have to stop for the rest of the turn. If you win, you get this resource. Huts are free, you just have to move into them with army figures, and you get that resource. Scouts can move, they can flip over stuff, but to start out with, they cannot capture huts or villages. As soon as you move your army figure into an enemy figure, then you're attacking them. If an enemy figure were to land on one of your things or something in your outskirts, that's blockading. That space no longer produces for you. So as long as he's here, we don't get anything from it. If his scout's here, not only do we not get it, he gets that resource instead. It goes to one of his cities, his choice. Good time to mention now, this is called gathering. If I have a scout here, during the city management, well, during the entire game actually, anything in this square is considered to be in the outskirts of whatever city I choose. So in other words, during the production step, city management, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 production because we're sending that home to there. It's called gathering. The very last step is research. That's when you spend the trade that you have to get a tech. I will not explain too much about the trade dial and resetting it. It's pretty simple. Whoever you're playing with will have to explain it to you quick. But basically you have the tech tree. You have to have level 1s, you have to have a base. So every 2 level 1s you have, you can get a level 2. For every 2 level 2s you have, it'd have to be like that, you can then get a level 3, and so on and so forth. And once you have 2 4s, if you can afford it, you can get the level 5 tech, and that is a win with the tech victory. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe, and if you do, hit that bell so that you get all notifications for when I post new videos. In the description, I'll be posting a link to my website where you'll be able to find more resources for other games. Go ahead and have a good rest of your day.